Hello everyone and welcome back. In today's video we got another news video here to discuss. We're going to be looking at the past few days of game action. We're also going to be looking at some signings and injury updates from the past couple of days, some interesting pieces of news, plus some trade rumors involving the Canadiens, the Flames, Bruins, and Maple Leafs. I'll go to all of that coming up right now. Hello everyone, welcome back to another video here at the Internet Hockey Channel. Before we get into this video, don't forget to like this video and subscribe down below. Thank you all for your support. I'll never be able to love you guys, so if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe button down below. And don't forget to leave a comment down in the comment section below so I can discuss today's video. Now just to recap here quickly, I'm not going to be doing any more game review videos, with there only being one game every day now for the foreseeable future before the Stanley Cup Final, where there's only like one game every 2-3 days. There's not going to be a whole bunch of need for me to do like 2-3 minute game review videos. So I'm just going to tag the game review video part at the beginning of a news video for the next little while. So just really quickly, over the past couple of days, the games that we saw, the Edmonton Oilers would have a strong game in Game 6 to force a Game 7 as they beat the Vancouver Canucks 5-1, as they tied the series at 3 apiece on Saturday, and are now heading to Game 7. Nugent Hopkins had a goal and 2 assists, as well as Bouchard. McDavid had 3 assists, all had 3-point nights. Drysdale had 2 assists, and Kane, Holloway, and Hyman also scored for the Oilers in the win, while Höglander scored his first career playoff goal in the loss, as the Canucks failed to advance to round 2. So bad stuff there for Vancouver. And then yesterday we saw the Edmonton Oilers jump out to a 3-goal lead, including this goal here from Ryan Nugent Hopkins on all Chris Credit Sportsnet. But Nugent Hopkins was able to give the Edmonton Oilers a 3-0 lead over the Vancouver Canucks. The Canucks would score twice later in the third period, one from Garland, one from Ronick, to make it a 3-2 game, but it was too little too late, as the Oilers were able to hold off the Canucks and beat them 3-2 and will advance the conference final to face Dallas after beating Vancouver in 7 games. Nugent Hopkins, who had a goal and an assist, Bouchard had 2 assists, and CC and Hyman both also scored for the Oilers in the win, while Garland and Ronick, who scored his first career playoff goal, were 2 goal scorers for the Canucks in the loss as they'd been eliminated from playoff contention. So after leading 3-2, the Canucks lose Games 6 and 7 and are now eliminated from playoff contention. So bad stuff there for Vancouver. But interesting to see the Oilers go on to the Cup Final. Over the next 2 days, not very much game action. Later today, no games of NHL action. Tuesday is a day off, and then we set the conference finals up Wednesday, which is tomorrow, as New York Rangers will be taking on the Florida Panthers in Game 1 of their series. So we'll have to wait and see exactly who wins Game 1, but that's the only game preview for the next few days. So that wraps up my game review portion of the video. Going over to the news portion of the video first, we have a couple of signings from the past couple of days. We're going to be going over the signings that happened between May 11th and May 16th. So there are a lot of interesting signings here. We've got 5 in total to talk about here. So first, the Tampa Bay Lightning gave an ELC to right winger Mikko Halonen. Halonen, who was a 2021 7th round pick of the Tampa Bay Lightning, got signed to a 3-year ELC with a fee of $868,000 that we're going to start next year. Halonen had been playing over in Liga the past couple of years. Last year had 30 points in 48 Liga games. This year 46 points in 52 Liga games. Looked fantastic. I think eventually could be a solid third line winger there for Tampa Bay Lightning, so that's a pretty good sign there for Tampa. Then we saw the LA Kings extend pending UFA David Rittich. Rittich, who was brought in last offseason to be a team's 3rd-string goaltender, signs a 1-year extension with a fee of $1 million. That'll begin at the start of next year. Rittich this year did not look overly great, but it had some pretty good numbers, putting up a .921 save percentage and 2.15 GAA in 24 games of NHL action. Also had an above 900 save percentage in 16 AHL games, so looked like a pretty good player, much better than his previous year when in Winnipeg, when he had 901 save percentage and 2.68 GAA in 21 games. So much better season this year than he had last year, and I think Rittich looks like to be a solid, maybe backup, but I would expect more of a 3rd stringer, so that's a solid sign there for the LA Kings. Then the New Jersey Devils signed undrafted forward, who's a pending RFA, Brian Halonen, who's a winger, to a 2-year contract extension with the AV of $775,000 that'll be going to start next year. Now, Halonen gone to 35 AHL games, picking up 20 goals and 29 points this year. Also gone to 2 NHL games. His first 2 in his career had no points. Looks like eventually could be a solid bottom 6 forward. So it's a pretty good sign there for the Devils to keep him around for the next couple of seasons. Then the Devils also signed pending RFA forward Samuel LaBerge, who's a undrafted prospect, to a 1-year contract extension with the New Jersey Devils with the AV of $775,000. Now, LaBerge this past year also played in 2 NHL games. Didn't put up an NHL point, but also had 6 goals, 19 points in 59 AHL games. Looks like eventually could be a solid call-up option, so it's a pretty good sign there for the New Jersey Devils. And then we also saw the Tampa Bay Lightning sign another player. That's right winger Mitchell Chafee, who was a call-up option this past year. He signs a 2-year contract extension with the AAV of $800,000 that'll be going to start next year. Chafee had one of his better seasons at the NHL level, putting up 4 goals and 7 points in 30 NHL games. Also had 12 goals and 26 points in 36 AHL games. I'm not sure if he can keep this up. Last year had 7 points in 10 AHL games. So I think Chafee could be a really good piece there for the Bolts. Not saying he's going to be a consistent NHL forward, but he's definitely a really good bottom 6 guy. So I think that there's a very likely chance the Bolts wind up keeping him. So it's a pretty good sign there for Tampa to keep Chafee around. Those are all signs we want to get to here today. So the Bolts give an ELC to Hutanen as well as extend Chafee. The Devils extend Liberage and Halonen, and then the LA Kings are able to get Rittich on a new contract. So interesting stuff there. Going over to an injury update for the past couple of days. Only one injury to talk about, and that was Mikheyev, who was cleared to play and got back into game action yesterday for the Canucks against the Oilers. So good news to see Mikheyev get back, but that's the only injury update for the past couple of days. Going over to a couple of interesting pieces of news from the past few days. So first we got a couple of coaching updates. Then we also got an interesting piece of news that we've been hearing about over the past couple of days. Now first with the coaching updates, Craig Berube earlier today was officially hired as the new head coach of the Toronto Maple Leafs. I'm not exactly sure what the term is on his contract yet. I haven't exactly gotten that far into looking at it yet, but you do know that Berube is officially going to be the new head coach of the Toronto Maple Leafs. So that's a really good hire in my opinion. Berube led the St. Louis Blues to the Cup. He helped them win the Cup. I think he could be exactly the type of coach that the Maple Leafs will be looking for. So it's a fantastic sign there for the Leafs. Now once again, not exactly sure what the contract is. Not exactly sure how it works contract-wise. Like we know Green's going to be 4 years in Ottawa, Bannister 2 years in St. Louis. So it'll be interesting to see exactly how long Berube's contract will be for, but that's a fantastic sign in my opinion for the Leafs and could be exactly what this team needs. You know, the other coaching signing and update we got to talk about here today is the Carolina Hurricanes. Brureband Brind'amour, who was in the final year of his deal, there was a lot of talk that Brind'amour may look to other job options like Toronto, New Jersey, Seattle if he wasn't going to re-sign with Carolina. Well, he did. The Carolina Hurricanes wound up extending Brind'amour. I think it was on a 5-year deal to wind up keeping him in Carolina. So that's fantastic stuff there. And they also signed some of his associate coaches, I think it was, or assistant coaches, video coaches. Like some of the staff also got extended too. So that's very fantastic stuff there for Carolina to keep a lot of their core group of their staff around. And hopefully that's a really good move there for the Carolina Hurricanes moving forward. I mean, Brind'amour is one of the best coaches in the NHL. So signing him to a 5-year extension, I think is a fantastic move there by Carolina. So pretty good sign there for the Hurricanes to keep Brind'amour. Now that's one less name on the board there for teams like New Jersey and Seattle, so they'll have to look elsewhere for the new head coach. But that's definitely interesting to note there for Carolina. Now Brind'amour signed, he can now remain as a member of the Carolina Hurricanes going forward. So very good stuff there for Carolina to get Brind'amour signed on a new deal. And then we also saw an interesting report come over the past couple of days that maybe Michkov doesn't remain in Russia over the next 2 years, and there could be a possibility he comes over to Philadelphia as early as this upcoming training camp. Now it's going to be interesting to see. There's still a lot of things that have to be worked out with. I think he still has a contract with Russia, so they have to figure out how to get out of it, but it does sound like Michkov wants to come to North America. Now, I'm not exactly sure if he'd step right into the NHL. I mean, he's a fantastic player who can score a ton of goals, but I'm not exactly sure if they want to see how he does the AHL level, at least for the first like 10-15 games of the season, or if he goes straight to the NHL. But Michkov is a fantastic player. If the Flyers are able to get him a year or two ahead of where they were hoping to get him from Russia, I think that would be a fantastic boost for the Philadelphia Flyers. So interesting report there. And like I said, it's not a guarantee he comes over. There's still a lot of things that need to be worked out with between the Flyers and Michkov and over in the KHL, but still, it sounds like there's a really good promising situation there that Michkov may be able to come to Philadelphia as early as this year and play with the Flyers, so it could be a very big boost there for the Flyers to get their top prospect into the NHL in the not too distant future. And lastly, going over to a couple of trade rumors. First, with the Boston Bruins, this isn't sort of a trade rumor per se, but it's more of a free agency rumor, and that's with the Boston Bruins. Now, according to a reporter from the Boston Bruins, it sounds like the Bruins are not going to be bringing back a lot of key pieces to their team next year. Now, these pieces include Jake DeBrusk, who's been a long-term Bruin player, a fantastic top 6 forward this year. It sounds like DeBrusk will probably not be back with the Boston Bruins, and they've also announced that it sounds like there's probably a couple of other guys on the forward group who will not be back, including James Van Riemsdyk, Kevin Shattenkirk, Derek Forbort, Matt Grzelcyk, and I think there was one other guy too that they mentioned. But it sounds like the Bruins are not planning on bringing back a ton of their UFAs. Shattenkirk was a decent third pair defenseman, really good veteran guy, but like I said, he's more of a veteran guy and probably wasn't going to be brought back anyway. Forbort, same sort of thing, more of a veteran guy. They have really good decor, so they can let him walk. Grzelcyk has been a Bruin for his entire career, I think it was. He's been a long-term Bruin, so see him go would be quite surprising, but I think it might be the right move given how Grzelcyk has played over the past couple of years. For Van Riemsdyk sake, he signed a one-year cheap deal with Boston to help them, but once again, it's another one-year deal for a more veteran-type player, so if he walks, I'm not overly surprised. Now, DeBrusk is probably the most surprising of them. DeBrusk is a solid top 6 forward. He really likes playing in Boston, signed a 2-year deal just a couple of years ago. Has really fit in extremely well with guys like Marchand, Pastrnak in that top 6. So to see him walk would be a little bit of a surprise, but I wouldn't be overly shocked that had happened with the Bruins cap situation right now. So not overly surprised, but still a little bit shocked that DeBrusk will be walking. But those are always interesting names. Forbort, Grzelcyk, Shattenkirk are all solid third pair defensemen. Van Riemsdyk's a solid third line winger. DeBrusk can fit in a team's top 6. So if those guys all do wind up walking by the Boston Bruins, I'll be interested to see where they go. So some interesting stuff there, but it doesn't sound like Boston's going to bring back some of their key pending UFAs. Going over to Toronto Maple Leafs, there's been a lot of talk over the past couple of days that Timothy Liljegren may be a guy who winds up being moved. Now, it's a little bit out there right now, but Liljegren is not fitting overly well with the Maple Leafs. I mean, looks like he could eventually be a solid second pair defenseman for a team, but it looks like the Leafs don't value him as much as they do some of the other defensemen they have on their team. He's going to be an RFA. He's going to need a raise. The Leafs are still an extremely amount of cap gymnastics that they have to work out with, and if they don't value Liljegren as much as they do some of these other guys, moving him as an RFA before giving him a raise might be a smart move for the Maple Leafs. Not exactly sure if it's the right move, given Liljegren is probably one of the better young defensemen on that team, but it could be an interesting move. We have to wait and see it happen. So I'm not exactly sure what they would want for Liljegren. He was a former first-round pick in 2017. I don't think they would be able to get a first-round pick for him right now with the way he's played over the past couple of years, but they could get like a second-round pick or maybe a third and a prospect or something like that. So not exactly sure what they would want for Liljegren, but I definitely do think that there is a very likely chance that we see Liljegren wind up being moved this offseason, especially with the Leafs in cap trouble right now. So I'll have to wait and see on that, but Liljegren's name is coming up, and it could be a move that the Leafs make this offseason. Next, going over to Montreal Canadiens, Minnesota Wild. We know that the Canadiens are known for going after young players around the draft. We saw this a couple of years ago with Kirby Dach. We saw this last year with Alex Newhook. Could this year's target be Marco Rossi? I've seen a couple of reports saying that the Minnesota Wild's young center may be a trade target for the Montreal Canadiens. Now, I'm not exactly sure if this is their #1 target or if this is exactly going to happen, but Rossi, I think, could be a really good top 6 forward in Montreal. He could be their second line center behind Suzuki and be a really good player there. So once again, not exactly sure it'll be the ideal target for the Montreal Canadiens, but I think that could be a really good piece there. And I think if they moved like a second-round pick, which they have an abundance of, and a decent prospect, especially on the blue line, which they have an abundance of, they could definitely pull off a trade to get Marco Rossi, no problem. So in my opinion, that could be a really good fit. I mean, I'm not exactly sure if the Canadiens need another center, but I think Rossi, who's a really good young player, showed this year that he has some really good potential, could be a really good fit in the young Montreal Canadiens locker room. So I'll have to wait and see on that. And lastly, could the Calgary Flames go out and acquire Xhekaj and Necas? Now, I've seen this being linked a couple of times. Xhekaj from Montreal and Martin Necas from Carolina are both being linked to Calgary. Now, the Flames are a really good team. They missed the playoffs this year. They were a mediocre team this year. Moved off a lot of their pending UFAs. Did not do overly great, but still, it was a decent season there from the Flames. But they're going to be looking to try and overhaul their roster this offseason, try and get younger, try and do some sort of a retool, maybe a rebuild, but more likely a retool, sort of a reset. So there's a very likely chance to go and try and get some younger pieces. Necas and Xhekaj could be exactly what they'd be looking for. Necas, solid top 6 winger, going to need a new extension, probably looking at like a 5 to 6 year deal with an $8 million AAV deal, but Necas has shown that he's a fantastic forward. The Flames do have a couple of really good pieces like Pelche, Coronado, Honchik on the forward group they could package in a deal. They have an extra first round pick this year thanks to the Vancouver Canucks that they could package. They have a couple of decent forwards, especially guys who are on the final year of their deals with guys like Mangiapane, Sharangovich, Kuzmenko, who I think the Carolina Hurricanes could have interest in. So there's definitely the workings in there for Calgary to make a really good package. Meanwhile, on the defensive end, besides Uyghur and Anderson, they really don't have a whole bunch of solid top four defensemen on the defensive core. So I think a guy like Xhekaj could be a really good addition there for the Calgary Flames. Now, like I say, he's not the best of defensemen, and he's definitely not a top four defenseman at this point in time. He could be a solid 5-6 defenseman for a team with the Calgary Flames. So once again, asking price would probably be high, probably cost like a second-round pick and a really good prospect. So I'm not exactly sure if the Flames will be willing to pay for that, but that could be a really good addition there for the Calgary Flames if they were able to get Xhekaj. So we'll have to wait and see exactly what happens there, but it does sound like the Flames have some interest in both Martin Necas and Arber Xhekaj, and I would not be one bit shocked if both were heavily targeted by the Calgary Flames, given the fact the Flames need to get a lot younger this offseason. So we'll have to wait and see exactly what happens there, but it sounds like Necas and Xhekaj are both on the Calgary Flames radar. So we'll have to wait and see exactly what happens there, but that's what we're talking about for today. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on all of this down in the comment section below. Do you think Xhekaj or Necas could go to the Flames? If so, what do you think the return would have to be? And do you think the Flames could pull off both trades? What do you think about the Montreal Canadiens? Could they make a move for Marco Rossi? And if so, is it the right move for the Canadiens? Definitely love to hear your thoughts on that. Do you see the Leafs moving Liljegren? If so, what do you think would be the best fit for Timothy Liljegren? So definitely love to hear your thoughts on that. Are you surprised that the Bruins may be moving off a lot of pending UFAs? Love to hear your thoughts on that. Plus, what do you think about Michkov? What do you think about Brind'amour signing? What do you think about Berube being the new head coach of the Leafs? And what do you think about the injuries, signing updates, and game reviews from the past couple of days? Definitely have your guys' thoughts on all of that down in the comment section below. So I'm going to talk about for today. Remember to like this video, and if you like it, subscribe down below. Thank you all for your support and how to help you guys. So if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe button down below. Don't forget to leave a comment down in the comment section below so someone else discuss today's video. I also have a blog talking about news, rumors, analysis, stuff like that. So if you check that out, I'll leave a link in the description below. And continue to see you guys all for the next video. See you guys soon.